This is why you died.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Is Why You Died, the podcast that acts like fiber in your cereal in the morning. You don't notice its effects at first, but trust us, you'll be feeling it later on. I am your Eucharist of intestinal distress, Sir Ian Dangerous, a.k.a. your Uncle Frank, and joining me as always are the troubadour of tummy trouble, Dan Marcha Madness, and the man who puts the Duke in Dookie, Ryan Ross Live. Hello, gentlemen. How are we doing today? Welcome, boys.
Wow.
Fecal intro.
Wow, I love it. I love it. And still yet again, I can't get over Uncle Frank now after our Hellraiser
yes.
episode. Yep.
It's true.
Yes, I hope I've damaged you guys forever because that's what this show is about. If this is your first time joining us, everyone, we are the show that picks prompts at random, which inspires us to choose horror movies, which we then discuss and review for your enjoyment, edification, and or entertainment. So thank you for joining us for this particular episode, which is going to be a lot of fun for some of us and maybe not so much for others. But before we do that, I do want to check in with you boys. How are you doing? What's new? Any new events? Any new horror things in your lives?
Oh, yes, a new horror thing that has taken over my life, but it's gateway horror, I'd say, is K-pop Demon Hunters. I don't know if you've heard about this animated movie, but it is the #1 thing on Netflix right now. My daughters are obsessed. They know every single word to this movie, and I've seen it I think 10 times now. But it's one of those movies where I was like, what are they watching? And by watch 4, I'm like dancing. I know the words. So like it's kind of taken over our lives, but I love it because it is about these 3 K-pop singer like girl group that idols that secretly kill demons, like fight them, take them down. So, you know, and they're kind of spooky looking demons. So I'm all about it because the more that they can get adjusted to this sort of scary horror, the more I can kind of introduce them to further stuff as they get older. So I'm all about it. It's taken over our lives.
Ah, yes, the gateway movie of kind of spooky demons.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, I suppose. I mean, Dan, what was your gateway horror? What did you start out with? What was Baby's first horror movie?
You know what? I would rent this movie every weekend. I don't know why my parents didn't just buy it for me, but I would go to the video store. I'd rent on a Friday and we'd return it on a Monday morning. But it was the Monster Squad. And Ryan, I don't know, have you heard of the Monster Squad?
Oh,
you've seen the Goonies, right? Have you seen the Goonies?
I've seen the Goonies. I don't know if I've ever watched it front to back all the way through, but I have seen the Goonies collectively. I know I've seen major chunks all together. I don't know if I've ever actually sat down and watched it front to back.
So imagine it's just like the Goonies, band of friends, you know, these young kids in a town, but they are battling the universal monsters. They're battling Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon. They all kind of descend on this town, and they have to band together to like send them back to where they came from. So that was like, I watched that movie constantly, and that was like a great movie. It's
the Goonies for people with taste, really. And I just want to clarify. The Goonies is a terrible movie, and it's a good thing you haven't seen it. Ryan, it's not worth your time. Okay. Monster Squad.
Hot take.
Monster Squad, however, fantastic movie. And
we
definitely
haven't even gotten to the review, and we're already upsetting people.
Oh, yeah, I have no problem. I will absolutely throw Goonies under the bus. But Monster Squad is actually a lot of fun. I don't know if it's aged that well either. I watched it recently, and it's definitely of its time.
But man, I gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's got some stuff in it where you kind of go, oh, couldn't get away with that now, could they? But no, that's a great one. It's certainly a gateway horror in terms of introducing you to all of like the big monsters like Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, etc.
Right.
And some cool designs for them too. That's funny. I was going to say my gateway horror movie was, I would argue, like Watership Down or Never-Ending Story.
Oh, Never-Ending Story.
Wait, Never-Ending Story's horror?
If you're a kid, it is. Yeah.
Okay, fair. Because if you're counting that, then I like the 2 that really freaked me out as a kid was I saw, and I think I don't remember if we covered this in like the really early stuff or not, but the Goosebumps Night of the Living Dummy episode gave me absolute nightmares, freaked the shit out of me. I didn't even see the whole thing. I only saw like the key, like climactic scenes. And then the other one that I did see the whole thing of that really freaked me out was Scooby-Doo Zombie Island, dude. Zombie Island at age 8 is a terrifying movie.
Mhm.
Oh my. Oh
And this
my.
explains why you've avoided horror movies ever since. Just want to point that out.
I mean, as a teenager, I saw some that were more legitimate, but yeah, that was definitely the like, all right, I'm not into this. I lost all this sleep and got sick. Like, let's not do that again.
So wait, now I have to ask you this because it's you, Ryan. I need to ask if you've seen a movie because I genuinely never know. We never
Of
know
course.
if Ryan has seen movies. Have you seen The Never-Ending Story?
I haven't actually.
Oh.
I had a feeling. I knew it.
Well,
Yeah.
What I know. Ironically, I know of it mostly through Stranger Things.
Oh, that okay.
Oh my God. I knew it.
Well, there's nothing more traumatic from my childhood than the horses Atreyu. Is that right,
Yeah.
Ian?
The horse of
Yeah.
Atreyu. I mean, there's
The
a
Atreyu
scene.
in the heartbreaking.
You can
man.
take Old Yeller, you can take Bambi's mom, but I will give you Artax drowning in the swamp of sadness
Artax,
over any of those any day. That will ruin you as a child. And that was in the era where they had so many quote unquote kids movies that were not kids movies. They
Yeah.
were welcome mats to horror, whether it was Secret of Nim, whether it was, as I said, Watership Down, which is a fantastic one. Disney at the time was a little more gnarly.
Yeah.
And however many other supposedly kids movies that
There
were.
was a Return to Oz. Do you
Oh,
remember
Return
the
to
Return?
Oz,
That
a
was
great
so
one.
the scariest freaking movie. It was so
Absolutely.
freaking, oh my gosh, traumatizing.
Yeah.
What are they doing to us?
Something similar to what we just did to Ryan Ross Live,
Yes,
which is
true.
actually my segue into the show itself, because today it's Dan Marcha Madness's pick. He chose, well, actually, Dan, do you want to tell us what prompt you picked and then what movies you chose? And then we'll get into discussing them because we have seen them. And Ryan is still not quite himself over there. He's still shaking a little bit.
So my prompt was suspense, and I had chosen it when we did our Midsummer episode,
Mhm.
and so I was told that if this was not a suspenseful double feature, that we'd be losing listeners. So I really took that seriously. I always have to have some sort of theme, and so I wanted a suspenseful set of movies that were stuck in one place. And so I chose Green Room and Inside as the double feature for us to watch.
So we have Sasha to blame for this,
Yeah,
is what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow. And Sasha, as I recall, was not even around to watch these with you, was she, Ryan?
No, she wasn't, and she's gonna have to watch them before this airs so that she can listen along.
No.
And I am concerned about one. Well, the other one I think will be fine.
Oh, yeah. Yes, one of these in particular.
Oh, God.
Well, let's just call it what it is. Inside is a very, very hardcore new French extremity horror movie, exploitation, grindhouse, whatever you want to call it. It's gnarly. We always do a spoiler warning at this point in the show before we really get into talking about these movies. But we do it to say...
Before we get into the spoiler warning, let me just say, Bo Burnham was brilliant in this. Absolutely loved his takedown of the modern system and COVID and economy
Ryan,
and all that.
what
and
movie
Inside.
did you watch?
Bo Burnham's Inside, of course.
Oh my gosh.
What were you complaining about
Thank
then?
goodness he was joking.
I'm kidding. Spoiler warning. Moving forward.
Spoiler warning for Inside and Green Room. And if you do decide to watch Inside, just heads up, it is a intense movie.
Never again.
Never.
Never again. Never again.
We were getting texts from Ryan while he was watching the movie. I think we harmed him forever. We thought Martyrs was bad, but
No.
we will. Okay,
Nothing.
so
Nothing.
Ryan, we know you hadn't seen either of these movies. I'd seen both of them before. Dan, had you seen both of these movies? Is that why you recommended them?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
this was
great.
my third watch of Green Room and my second of Inside.
So I'm all alone here. Love that.
Well, yes. Well, Oh, I'm sorry it was so hard for you, Ryan. It was our second time having to watch Inside. I had vowed never to watch it again.
Fair. You're welcome. You're very welcome.
And Dan, for some reason, was like, you know what would be fun?
Hey, you put us through Martyrs, so I was like, you know what? Let's up it and let's keep exploring the French New Extremity. Let's go for it. Oh, he's pointing his finger at me.
I'm going to put that on a hook and save it for later because
he's going to get back. I know.
There's a reason. There's a reason why Martyrs is one that I will go back to again and again. There's a reason I never wanted to watch Inside ever again.
You know, we don't have to keep going up. We could go sideways. We could do some diagonal. We don't have to keep going up.
I think it's safe to say
where we have gotten here.
It's safe to say after Inside, there's not a whole lot more ceiling room to go. There's a few. Yeah. There's a few, but they're all like legendarily hard. Like I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon, if ever on this show. But we do need to dive into these two movies. So let's talk about what they actually are. As we mentioned, Inside is New French Extremities from 2007, directed by Julien Marie and Alexandre Bustillo. It is a very hardcore, very, very simple plot. There is a extremely pregnant woman who is alone on Christmas because her husband has died in a car accident, and she almost died in the accident as well. She's gotten moody. She's kicked her mom out and is alone on Christmas Eve. And some strange woman shows up and says, I want your baby, and invades her house and proceeds to terrorize her for the rest of the movie. And then Green Room, alternately, is another, like you said, Dan, very small space. A scrappy punk band takes a gig in the wilds of Oregon for what they find out is a neo-Nazi gang, like I guess.
Skinhead bar.
Yeah.
Skinhead bar in the middle of nowhere, which is a thing. And they play the show, and as they're about to leave, they see something they shouldn't have, and they then get stuck in the green room with the Nazis trying to kill them.
Yes.
And that's a very, very intense movie as well. So I wanted to start with just that, saying, okay, Dan, your prompt was suspense. Boys, did these movies, I know, Dan, I know what you think because you picked them, but on rewatch even, do these movies live up to that? Are these suspenseful movies? Brian, for you, were these suspenseful or were you just beside yourself the entire time?
Inside, I was just like, the whole movie, I was just like, well, it's one of those things that like, I got about a third of the way into the movie and I'm like, how in the world they have an hour left of this movie? How are they going to stretch this? And they just keep going and keep upping it, and you just get more and more and more and more tense. I don't even know if there was that much suspense as much as there was just adrenaline and tension the whole movie. Like there's a couple moments to breathe, whereas like honestly, and we'll get to Green Room, I have thoughts on Green Room.
I hope so.
I don't think Green Room hit as effectively for me. Ooh. And I have some theories as to why that might be.
What?
But like Green Room it's a brutal movie. Like it's definitely horrific. But out of all of the movies that we've watched, this was probably the one that I felt like I had the most difficulty kind of mostly just following moment to moment. And B, just kind of getting into.
You're talking about Green Room?
If that's specifically. And I don't know if it's just the fact that like that is a world that I know almost nothing about. And so at least some of the nuance of that, I was like trying to essentially interpret as I watched the movie because it was such a foreign like environment to anything that I'd ever experienced. But then it made it really hard to really get into the prompt, the suspense of the movie, because I'm kind of just taking things as they happen and trying to interpret all of the mechanics behind it in real time. And it made it really hard to anticipate stuff, I guess.
So
I was gonna say, make it sound like Ian and I know a lot about the neo-Nazi world.
I mean, I'm not presuming anything. I don't know what anybody knows. I'm just saying, speaking for me individually, I'm not asserting anything on anyone else. I just like, I know skinheads exist. I know neo-Nazism exists. It's never something that I've individually experienced on any level. And like, I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. Like, I definitely experienced and witnessed like micro instances of racism but never to the degree of like neo-Nazism or organized like skinhead anything. To the point, I actually think I'm really glad we watched this movie because I love red black pairings, and there is a world in which I could have gotten boots and put on red laces and be like, this is a cool color combo, and not known. Like that was something that I learned watching this movie, and now I'm very glad that obviously we did. But like that's how, just speaking how foreign this is to me, of like as a concept, as a system, as behavior. And so a lot of this is, it kind of felt, I mean, I don't want to get too far into analysis yet, but like it kind of felt like I was trying to interpret the system within it as I was watching, which was as much me like kind of learning as I went as it was experiencing the movie, which I think made it harder to stick in the horror lane, really.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to jump in on this real quick because
do it.
And it's funny, we're going to go for Green Room first here because for me, the exact opposite thing was true. I've been in a touring band. I've played shows in not diners, but things next door, like basically the same situation that happened in this movie, like scrappy little shows that you just get thrown into. And next thing you know, you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I've definitely, I also spent a lot of time in Oregon, and there is a lot of neo-Nazism in the backwoods of Oregon. That's a great place to have set this. And Green Room is the director, Jeremy Saulnier.
I think so. I never know how to pronounce it, but I don't
either. But he used to be in a punk band. He used to play shows, and a lot of this was from his own experience. And he actually brought in guys who'd played live music to try to get it as accurate as possible to the experience. I have never played to a primarily neo-Nazi audience, but I've definitely had skinheads in my audience. I've been in bars and been like, I shouldn't be here. This is a skinhead bar. I've had run-ins with neo-Nazis and skinheads and white supremacists as a bar manager, as someone who's trying to keep elements out of my bar. So everything about this movie was insanely relatable to me, and especially how accurately it was done. It felt like I felt completely sucked in because it was so realistic what this band was going through with just setting up and playing the show. I'm not going to lie. The first time I watched this movie, and you know, they don't give you a hint that they're going to do it, but they kind of lead up to it. That the opening song that they play to these neo-Nazis at this club, because they're a punk band and they're ballsy and they want to show how ballsy they are, they decide to play the Dead Kennedys' Nazi Punks Fuck Off as their first song. And I was squirming harder in that moment than I was during almost anything except for one scene in Inside.
Wow.
That's how much it got me. I was like, oh, you guys are out of your fucking minds. And of course it works out for them, and then things ease off. And then of course they see something they shouldn't in the green room. They catch someone getting murdered, and then they get stuck. And them having no way out of that green room. I was so tense the entire time. I was sweating. I had an upset stomach. It truly intensely got me. But I guess now that I have to throw it to you, Dan, because it didn't get Ryan. It did get me. Where do you fall with Green Room? Is it something that like it has that suspense because you've experienced something like it, or it just has that suspense because it's a well-made movie?
I think both. I haven't had the extent of I haven't been in a band or anything, but I grew up in Bakersfield, California, and I would go to a lot of like local punk shows down in basements of like pizza places, and they would get wild and crazy, like people crowd surfing where they're just hitting the roof, and like, so the energy felt very familiar, like what I grew up with in high school. And also, unfortunately, you know, Bakersfield is very racially divided, and in high school, driving around late at night, I've been chased by members of the Ku Klux Klan because there's a big, you know, still running Ku Klux Klan out in Oildale, which is near Bakersfield. Like a Grand Wizard still lives out
Holy
there.
shit.
So I mean, I've been around that culture of white supremacists, just being able to speak freely about that. So I think it hit a lot of like, you know, what I grew up with. And so that's surprisingly, rewatching both of these, I was surprised that I was still more in suspense and still on edge watching Green Room than I was watching Inside. And I thought it had been the other way around, because I saw Green Room and Inside very far apart from each other, like in time. I saw Green Room in theaters because I had heard about this movie, mainly because Patrick Stewart was in it and his role in it. And then Inside I saw much later, when I was getting into like watching Martyrs and, you know, all the French New Extremity films. So, you know, I was surprised that rewatching these, I still felt more tension watching Green Room than when I was watching Inside.
Now that begs the question, Ryan, you said you didn't have any kind of feelings of tension from Green Room, or not as much, but Inside, was Inside, you said, was it tension that you felt in Inside, or was it just because things were so gross and so violent that you were on the edge of your seat?
I would say both. I would say out of every movie we've watched for this show, right? There have been 2 to 3 times that I've ever had to pause the movie to just take a quick break.
Oh no!
This was one of those movies.
What part did you take a break at?
I honestly, I don't even like. It was.
You were in a haze.
It all is just a big. Like, it's all just one big. It was. Actually, I think it was when I texted these guys of like I was just like, fuck this movie. Like, and it would have been right after she accidentally kills her mom and the boss, and she's trapped in there again. It's like before the police show up, but she's already done the scissors and like started to cut. Like, oh man, like there's just
the implication of her putting the scissors into the pregnant woman's belly button and starting to cut, and that's what makes the woman wake up, is just such a it's like welcome to the movie, kids. And then it doesn't really let up until the end when she actually does it.
Oh god. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It's a movie, guys.
Dude, it's a movie. It is so traumatizing. Holy crap, that movie.
So
it just keeps going. There's no way it can get worse than this. There's no way. And then it does. And then it does again and again and again. And you're just left wondering, like, what else can you take from me? Like, you've gone beyond anything I could possibly fathom. Where else is there to go? And then they find more places to go. And you're just left there like, okay.
Welcome to the new French Extremity Ryan Ross Live. You have witnessed it.
I don't like it.
Welcome.
I'm not a fan.
And I gotta say that I think that that's the point, because of
absolutely.
But it has to deal with what it has to deal with. I mean, a big, huge chunk of this movie, I think, is talking to the female experience of giving birth, and there's so much within that I can dive into. We don't have to dive in yet if we're still talking
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it right now. Inside is absolutely about women's control over their own bodies. It's about the violation of pregnancy. There's a lot that this movie is about, despite just how over the top gross it is, right? And intense. It's absolutely saying something, and certainly there's a reason why it's against the backdrop of the riots in France. You know, there's some socio-political message that they're pushing here, and I don't know if I entirely agree with it, but there's absolutely, like, Dan, go off. What is this movie saying to you?
To me, I won't go too far into it because I don't want to give so many details. My wife would probably kill me, but we've had 2 kids, and one kid was a C-section and one kid was a natural birth, and so I've seen both, and I've seen.
Wait. You've seen them live?
I didn't watch my wife get cut open, essentially, but I looked over and I saw what was happening, and I wish I hadn't. And then watching my second daughter come out naturally is just like this overjoyous, but also shockingly gross thing too, because there's so much that's just coming out of the female body that it was like seeing that on screen. You're like, okay, this is what a woman deals with. And the first pregnancy there was some things that occurred that made it very scary, and that's all I can really say. But that there was a lot that my wife went through, and she's an amazing woman, and she went through all that. But it a lot people don't. I think it's now starting to become common for women to come out and talk about it. But for years and decades, childbirth has been seen as this beautiful moment that just happens, and it's so in the dark about how many things can go wrong during pregnancy, and especially during childbirth itself. And what happens to the woman's body, how women might not even make it through it. And, you know, experiencing that trauma and us getting through it, I see this movie as almost like I see our what's the main character's name? I forget her name, but
let me look.
Sarah Starignella.
Yes, Sarah.
So I see Sarah as like leading up to the birth, and then I see the woman that is, you know, the horrific woman that's terrorizing her. I see her as what a mother becomes, what a woman becomes when she becomes a mother. And there's so much trauma, and there's so much that you give as a woman of your body to bring forth, you know, life into this world. And they take that and they elevate it to this like horrific, disgusting, horrible level. But it's like there's a point where I think when when a woman is giving birth for the first time, that they're so scared to do it. You know, it's like this. I don't know what to. They don't know what to expect. They don't know. Yeah. So with
good reason. It's
like that is what, you know. That's what Sarah is going through, especially now that she doesn't have her husband with her. But it's like she just doesn't want to face this. And then this other woman who I see as like this metaphor of this other woman goes through so much to just get what they want, which is to love this child. I mean, by the end of the movie, this woman has been completely burned. Her face, she is scarred. And I think that they put it as this like physical presence, this crazy burn, you know, that Sarah was using to try to defend herself. But I think it means like there's this change that happens to a woman when they become a mother, that they go through with their body to bring forth life. And there's not enough that is, you know, celebrated about that, but that is given to women for what they do to do that. And I think that that's what I take from this movie, is that it's just this horrific, gross, violent metaphor for what it means to kind of be a mother and bring forth a child into the world.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the woman, because she's just called the woman, the invader, as kind of like a dark mirror to Sarah, the mother. You know, she's dressed all in black. Sarah's dressed all in white the entire movie, which of course is very nice to see all the blood on. Yeah. But the fact that this woman is so single-mindedly, psychotically intent on destroying everything in Sarah's life and taking away her baby, which we find out during the course of the movie, Sarah doesn't really want. The baby is, in a way, kind of her holding on to her trauma from her dead husband. I could definitely see the other woman as being a symbol of that self-hatred that Sarah has for herself, and the fear that she has of motherhood, of it ruining everything in her life. Ryan, did you see any kind of greater meaning or metaphor inside, or were you just too busy cowering and hiding behind your hands and looking between your fingers?
I'll be honest. I don't know if I got to higher level just because of how crazy the movie was. I mean, I was able to predict the twist of the fact that she was in the other car. I did not predict the fact that she lost a baby, but that made like when they did reveal that, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But the things that I was noticing, I guess, outside of the movie were things like this woman's like John Wick level assassin crazy.
Oh yeah,
somehow
ninja,
like just straight up murking cops with crochet needles and walking away completely unharmed,
and somehow able to see in the dark too.
Right,
like the cop can't see shit, and she's just like she's ninjing up on him, and the other guy doesn't even see her coming. She takes his gun. Like his riot gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
which also, so one question I had while we're just in the discussion phase is like in that last bit when the one remaining cop that turns out to still be alive turns back on the circuit breaker. Why did he attack Sarah? Was he blind?
He's blind.
What was the deal?
The riot gun had been fired at him, so the flashbang had blinded him and burned out his eyes. Is the idea?
I see.
Yeah, that's that. I had to look that up, Brian, to be exact, because I saw that again and I was like, wait, because there's part of me
Who's
that
this
thought, like, I
motherfucker?
was like, yeah, because I was like,
Yeah.
is he like infected with a crazy virus that's going on outside? Is that why
Well,
there's
for
so
a
many
second,
cops, or what's going on?
There was a moment where I thought that he was meant to be like a reflection of the dead husband when he turned, but then he attacks her, and I was like, "All right, I've been unseated from my understanding of what's happening for a moment."
I can imagine you in that moment, like, who's this guy? Why is he hitting her? Why are they fighting?
Yeah.
Why is he blind? Why has he got holes for eyes? This is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't like this. This movie is
Like,
insane.
and I was like, has he been working with the woman the whole time? Like,
It's another
is this some
twist.
Crazy yes,
This movie,
precisely.
it just keeps
Yeah.
flipping it on me. No, it's just straightforward. It's
I-
the cop that she blinded.
Right.
Yeah, but just honestly, and the fact that the woman at the beginning introduces herself as she's like a nurse at the hospital that's just chilling and smoking in the hospital, and I'm like, this feels very like Joker-ish of like smoking in the hospital and like talking about mayhem and children and the murderous pain she
dude.
went through.
She comes up to a pregnant woman and she's like, "Oh yeah, I had a kid once. It died.
Yeah,
It was a
worst
birth.
thing.
Birth
I went
sucked.
through 9 hours of labor for nothing.
Ah,
On nothing but pain.
got a baby coming soon, huh? Great choice, bitch."
Yeah,
Just what? But that
Boy.
scene, I think, like as kind of funny as we're making it now, like there was a deeper meaning than there. Like the misogyny that women have towards other women, like that was, I think, one of the points they had in this movie as well. There's a reason why it's, it follows a lot of slasher tropes, but instead of having a man chasing the woman around the house, it's another woman.
well,
There's a
and
reason
she's
for that.
trying to drive a wedge between Sarah and the baby even further in the final approach period of like, you don't really want this baby. It's going to ruin your life. I want this baby. Like without spoiling the second half of it, just like how far can I wedge this gap between this woman and her child before I go for the separation, literally.
But yet at the end, so we have, the climactic scene, the one that gets everybody, where Sarah is on the stairs, her water's broke, the baby's coming, and it gets stuck. And she tells the woman this. The woman's been hideously burned. They're both covered in blood. And Sarah says the baby's stuck. And the woman goes and gets the scissors and cuts Sarah's belly open, killing Sarah. And she takes the baby finally and then sits in a rocking chair as the music swells and the movie then just cuts to black. But here's my question. Sarah wasn't fighting her off at that point. She didn't seem like she was out of it. Did she let it happen? Did she want the woman to take the baby at that point? What was that about?
I interpreted that as she, like, first off, she's been through such traumatic experiences leading up to that moment. Her hand's been stabbed through. She poked a hole in her own neck and then like decided against it. She's covered in wounds and blood and whatever. And then she literally starts giving birth. I honestly interpreted it as like, regardless of what she wants, she was just kind of like, I'm in pain. I'm giving birth. I'm stuck on the stairs. Like, what is she gonna do to fight in that moment? Like, giving birth is already such a body intensive, stressful, painful experience. Like, I can't imagine anyone being capable of fighting someone off in that state, let alone anything else. I kind of just interpreted it as like, at this point, she's helpless.
Yeah.
Like, she is. She's run out of any opportunity to do anything, and now this is where she is.
She's been slashed all over. She's got a hole in her hand, a hole in her neck that she's given herself.
I forgot about the neck part, man. That was hard to watch.
The self-tracheotomy. That was a good one. Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
There's a couple of gnarly ones. It's funny because I don't feel like, there's a couple of like gnarly moments in this movie. Like really good, hardcore gore. This is a gorehound's pride and joy kind of movie. This is definitely
the opening credits are the most disturbing opening credits I've ever seen. And then they're like, la da da, here's the mom and the daughter leaving the hospital. Like, Mom, I want to be alone.
The darkest hospital room ever, by the way. Like the doctor's examining her. I'm like, how can you see her, bro? Are you getting a magnifying glass in there? Because you can't see anything. Who keeps a hospital room this dark? What's going on?
Honestly, actually, it was kind of reminiscent of the hospital room in The Substance. Now I think like I distinctly noticed that like in the substance they have the one light that's like only from the one angle and the rest of the room is dark. Very similar vibe.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the movies that inspired The Substance. Again, also a French director, also someone who would probably be very familiar with female body horror, as this very much is. It wouldn't surprise me if this absolutely was in the DNA of The Substance in some way. But that being said, I want to jump back.
That's a dirty pun that you just pulled. I'm not going to let you slide with that. That's a dirty pun you just pulled.
Sorry about that. Actually, before I jump over, I do want to say one quick thing. You mentioned the opening credits. For me, one of the major flaws, one of the major drawbacks of Inside, one of the major kind of artistic mistakes is the CGI baby.
I had the same note. It was so annoying, and I recognized that was a product of the fact that like that CGI in 2007 was not very good.
Yes.
But yes, this movie would be better without the CGI baby at any point.
The CGI in 2007 was better than this baby. Don't be throwing 2007 under the bus. We had some good CGI in those days. This movie is not one of those movies.
It looked like that old YouTube like dancing baby video. Is what it,
oh my God.
That's totally what it was. It was the dancing
looked
baby.
Like that dancing baby animation.
It was the dancing baby. It was so close to that.
It was the dancing baby getting in a car crash.
Oh, you're right, Ryan.
Literally every time I saw it, I was like, I can't take the baby seriously. It's just the YouTube dancing baby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're so right about that. Screw that baby. Uncanny Valley ass CGI baby.
Let's not put screw and baby in the same sentence, shall we?
That's how you do it.
Not literally, you sicko. That's Serbian film. All right, so getting back over to Green Room, I wanted to talk a little bit about, get back to that movie because comparatively, not a lot of gore, not a lot of bodily harm, but I would say that for me,
some.
Oh, yeah. For me, it worked. It was even more grisly. Like they cut up his arm, and I was more disturbed by that than anything except for the very end of Inside. I kind of got numb to the violence in Inside until, of course, the final cesarean section, which can't handle it. But in Green Room, there's a couple.
I want you to know that scene. I said out loud, alone in my house, to my TV, "Don't make me watch this. Don't make me do that." And then
the C-section scene.
I'm like, oh God.
Here we go.
I was talking to my TV a good portion of this movie.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm not one to do.
Yeah. The first time I watched, I was definitely going, oh come on. No,
I'm still talking to myself, just like covering my face, cowering in the couch, just like, man, it's a tough one. But
you picked it.
I know, but
you wanted it.
It was suspenseful.
What we've learned is we can't issue Dan any challenges. We underestimated Dan's conviction to take on a challenge.
Dan did not come to play. So actually, okay.
I did not.
Then before we jump to Green Room real quick, because I do want to talk about the violence in that versus the violence in Inside. There's a few other things I want to talk about. But let's really quickly say, because we are talking about Inside in these kind of glowing tones of how horrific it is it worse than Martyrs? Martyrs is kind of held up as being the big daddy of the new French extremity, that, and I would say Irreversible, as being the ones that are like the hardest to watch. Is Inside slept on in terms of its extremity? It's how hard it is to watch. What did you guys think? What's worse? What's harder to watch for you guys? Martyrs or this?
Inside was harder to watch than Martyrs.
1,000%.
And I was surprised because I had remembered it differently. I think I had watched the other French New Extremities, and knowing that Martyrs had been told as like the grand, like the top one you need to watch. So it was like high tension. And then I watched, Inside, and then I worked up to Martyrs, and I had remembered Martyrs being harder to get through. And I think what it is that the violence in Inside is so it's constant and it's so bloody, but the violence that occurs in Martyrs is just so drawn out. It's just exhaustive. It's just 30 minutes of watching this poor woman being beat and tortured over and over and over again until that final scene where that's where I was like, wow, Martyrs is really up there. But having rewatched both now and like kind of now appreciating Martyrs for what it is, you know, I can watch Martyrs and God, I can't believe I'm saying it, but enjoy the film because I see what it's saying and how well it's made. Whereas like Inside is just so horrifically gory and graphic that it's just disgusting to watch. And so, yeah, I would say it's harder to get through Inside than it is to get through Martyrs.
I agree 100,000,000%. I think like I told you guys earlier today that Martyrs is baby town frolics compared to Inside, in my opinion. Inside makes Martyrs look like Candyland.
Dancing baby town frolics.
There's a quote.
Like Martyrs, the thing with Martyrs, there's a couple scenes in Martyrs, I think particularly with the first woman whose name I don't remember, but the friend who ends up killing herself. I think that those moments are actually a lot more jarring than a lot of the violence that happens to the main character in Martyrs, because like to Dan's point, it feels more systemic, it's more cold. And also we talked about how like Martyrs really clearly got like metaphoric and cerebral at the end, and it like the message came forward a lot more. Whereas this movie lives and breathes horrific, like aggressive, like gut-wrenching violence the whole movie, and then just goes like, you had enough yet? Too bad. You had enough yet? Too bad. And just keeps stacking and stacking, and you get this tower, this literal tower of gore and violence and just horrendous cinema. And it's so jarring compared to Martyrs, which like at least at the end of Martyrs you can be like, wow, that was jarring, but like I walked away with something. I didn't feel like I walked away with anything from this movie but shock and like I was just like, it felt like this movie was made almost solely to like see how far they could push it.
Oh, like, 100%.
Yeah,
exactly. And like to your guys' point, you were talking about like the higher meanings, whatever, like to me, the higher meaning was like, let's see what we can get away with on screen that's never been done before. And that was what I walked away with.
But that's the thing. That is absolutely part of the bigger meaning too. They have all these other things that I think are subtextual that they're trying to say, but pushing the boundaries 1,000,000% was part of what this kind of movement in retrospect was. There's a lot of artists at that time in France who were just like, let's push some damn boundaries. We're not happy with where society is. Let's freak people out. Let's push back against the dominant paradigm. That was absolutely an aspect of this movie, and being transgressive was part of that. That was absolutely some of the energy that was going into this movie, and it succeeded. I agree. I think this is much harder to watch than Martyrs. I've watched Martyrs a bunch of times. What did I think? Like 6 now. I've seen it. This is my second time. I hope it is my last. That final C-section is one of the hardest things I've ever watched in horror movies. Full stop.
Can we even call it a C-section? It's just a dissection. She is literally just cut open,
and she gets up in there. You see just parting the flesh, and she gets her hands up in there, and just ooh, it's just blood everywhere coming down the stairs. Oh, it goes there. It goes there with it. But jumping over to Green Room, as the boys are wincing over here, we're all squirming. I want to talk about Green Room because the only thing in Inside that really got me was that C-section. Green Room, the number of things that I was sitting there squirming about over, and not even because it was that gory, just because of the implications of it, the dog attacks. There's a good shotgun blast to the head in both movies, in Inside and in Green Room. And the one in Green Room, they both make you jump. They're both really sudden. They come out of nowhere. The one in Green Room is just, it comes right at you.
It's brilliant. That's what I love about this director. Does this a lot in his films, but he treats violence as it is in reality, which is it comes out of nowhere and it's unexpected and it hits you in the face. You know, like you know, in Inside, it's a building. You know you're in a horror movie, and in Green Room, you're just in this survival mode of hoping that this band gets out of the situation. And like you said, that shotgun blast is such a jarring, surprising kill because you aren't expecting. You're like, okay, cool, this might be their way out. What's going to happen next? And to just kill to kill him in that way, and it's not in this overly gory like brain exploding. It's like his body just contorts and he's just dead, and it's so like shocking. And how most of his films are, you know, I've loved his stuff. So after I watched Green Room, because I'd heard he was up and coming director when Green Room came out and in theaters, and then so I went back and watched Blue Ruin, and I followed his career ever since. He has, I forget the new movie that came out in Netflix, but it's very much like this, you know, new take kind of. Yeah, the one
after that.
The one after that that's kind of got the same storyline as Rambo, about the, you know, the veteran that's kind of defending his brother who's been wrongly accused, and Don Johnson plays this evil sheriff in town. It's a good movie because, and what I love about
Rebel Ridge.
Rebel Ridge, that's it. What I love about this director and his films is that he takes kind of like these tropes of, you know, suspenseful horror movies, and he just upends what you think is going to happen, what should happen, you know, and I think that's why I really love Green Room, especially like, I mean, that scene with Anton Yelchin's character where he's giving over the gun, the tension leading up to that, and then when you see the other, you know, Red Laces, the Boots guys over there, and you don't know what's happening until he brings his arm back, and you're like, oh my God, they almost just chopped off his entire arm. Like that, like them not showing that. He like the choices as he made as a director to hear a lot of the dialogue through the door made it so frightening.
And that was a really specific choice. He actually shot Patrick Stewart out there. He had another camera out there shooting Patrick Stewart's performance, and he was like, "No, it's better if I just stay in the room."
It's so good. And I speaking of Patrick Stewart, I love this story from Patrick Stewart. But he was sent this script specifically by the director because he wanted him in this role. And so Patrick Stewart, he said he was alone in his home. He started reading the script. He was once he started getting to the Nazi stuff, he said that he had to put the script down. He locked all the doors in his entire house. He poured himself a scotch. He was frightened by this script. He was like, this is the scariest thing I've ever read. He had to sip on that scotch while he finished it. And after he finished that script, he's like, I'm doing this movie. And like, it's a testament to him. I mean, I think we're so used to seeing him as the hero, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, you know, he's always like the good guy. And to see him as this like cold and methodical, just like he knows how to carry out these murders. You've seen that he's done this before. He knows how to clean up these things, and it's just so sadistic. Yet, you know, he's a really excellent villain. And I think it was such a great casting. But back to the violence of it all, I think that's what works well, is that this director knows when to show violence and when to not. And when he does show you the violence, it's fast and it's in your face and it's quick. And it's shocking, and I really like that about Green Room.
Patrick Stewart in this movie really felt Walter White to me. I got really strong like Walter White vibes from Patrick Stewart's role in this movie. Although it was so hard to hear him called Darcy. Darcy is one of the best characters in all of literature, and to have his name sullied by a neo-Nazi, like,
are you crushing on Mr. Darcy on a horror show?
Mr. Darcy is one of the best characters in fiction, and you cannot take that away from me.
My God. How did we get here?
Also, fuck Nazis.
Oh, let's be clear.
I agree that.
Yeah,
Nazis.
This is the point in the show where we say fuck Nazis. When in doubt, punch Nazis. And if you're not listening to the show, fuck you. And that is one thing that I really liked about Green Room, is that it really depicted kind of what in my experience has been the reality of modern Nazis, is that they're all kind of dumb, and they're not sending the best and brightest to be the white supremacists, right? And they even have a nice little moment in the movie where they said, well, how did they get you in? And it's just, well, you know, I was in a town and some stuff was happening, and they said the right thing, and it just, I had nothing else to do, you know?
Yeah.
But you bring up the true crime nature of this, and how like it's just more matter of fact than Inside, and how this director does that. He makes true crime stories, but they're a little bit more horrific. They're a little bit more intense, and they're very matter of fact. His main characters are often very ineffectual. That's a word he's used for his main characters. He wants people to be realistic. They think they might be able to be like, oh, I can handle this gun. I can be an action hero. But they're not. They're not action heroes. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to cock a gun. They don't know what to do in tight situations, tense situations. Like they get out by the skin of their teeth, either because of luck or because of chance or because they do the right thing at the right time. But it's not through any like innate skill or talent. They just more than anything, they get lucky.
Right.
And I think that
or they die.
Or they die. And there's a lot of people that die in this doing kind of the right thing, right? The drummer goes out the window. He's making a break for it. What happens? He gets stabbed. And that the sounds of the knife when he's getting stabbed for me was as bad as straight up seeing some of the things inside. So
it's just so messy. Like it was just so like most of it's off screen, but you can hear it and it's so inefficient, and that's what makes it so horrific, you know?
Yes.
It's just like, it's not like a one-shot kill like you would see in like a slasher, like boom, down. It's like hack, hack, hack. No, he's still alive for a long time. Like, let's let him breathe a little bit. Like, just
inefficient.
that kind of, yes.
It's a great way to put it. I didn't feel like Darcy was a criminal mastermind. I just felt like he was kind of a local scumbag who was just happened to be a bit smarter than the other local scumbags. So
yeah,
and he's done this enough that he knows at least the basic pattern.
Right. He's got a little bit more experience, so he's got a bit more of an idea of what to do. Shout out, by the way, to Macon Blair, who is an old trusty standby for Jeremy Saulnier, the director. He wrote the screenplay for Hold the Dark. He was also the main character in
Blue Ruin.
Yeah, and he's great in this as this kind of the more sensitive neo-Nazi who's like, maybe this is not what I signed up for.
Is he like the show manager dude?
Yeah, he was like the guy who goes to the cops at the end.
Yeah,
the one
he's one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Oh, he's great. Lots of new ones.
Yeah, he's so good.
And just the fact that he goes on this journey of like, I am in over my head here.
Yeah.
Like this is not what I thought it was, and I've made a mistake. And I am in too deep.
Yeah, it's funny that he gets his red laces when, to my memory, he didn't actually shed blood for the movement, which is what you get your red laces for, which is why you should be a little worried about neo-Nazis with red
interesting.
laces. Yeah, it's a sign that you, like, your commitment to the cause, you've shed blood for the movement.
Wow.
Doesn't necessarily mean you've killed somebody, but there's a lot of Nazis who will go out and get into a fight with someone of another race in the street just so they can get their red laces. But it's so messed up.
When I say I knew almost nothing, right? Like I did not realize that the fact that there were neo-Nazis in Oregon was a real thing. I thought that they just picked
Medford, Oregon is one of like the most central neo-Nazi hubs, or at least it was in my time, on the West Coast. Oregon.
You see, I didn't even realize that the West Coast had neo-Nazis. I thought that neo-Nazism was like mostly like an old South, like Eastern side of the old historical like Confederate areas, right? That's what this is how far off I was, which is why so much of this movie I was just like trying to figure out like what does this shit mean? Like what, like granted I know enough to be like, wow, this guy literally trained his dog to German. What a fucking idiot. And like
that's very accurate.
That like wow. I mean, yeah, but like somebody actually took the time to do that because they thought it was a good idea is just disgusting.
It's not that it's a good idea, it's that it's cool, right? It's part of their culture. Like the Germanic culture.
It's like such a twisted, like crazy perspective. But yeah, like generally most of the like mechanics of the movie were all very foreign to me.
I wonder if a second watch you would get more out of it, or if
probably not that I'd want to watch it again.
Wow. When I watched this movie, I wanted to watch it again immediately. I was like the opposite. But that's
because you two are twisted people.
Hey, don't include me in this one. I don't want to watch Green Room again anytime soon, just because it stresses me the fuck out. This movie is one of those movies that absolutely has me in knots.
You can be twisted for other reasons. You're still twisted.
Okay, thank you.
They don't have to be the same.
I appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say.
I can distinguish.
You can distinguish. Good, thank you. Boys, it's come to that time of the show. We got to start getting some of our shit in here. We have a Mike Logan Award that we do on this show, named after the evil character in Cannibal Ferox, the most ridiculously horrific human being you could possibly imagine. the Fuck That Guy Award. Who do we give the Fuck That Guy Award to in Inside and Green Room? Some very, I think some very good prospects here in these movies.
I'm gonna go with I'll go right out kind of side, but the main guy that stabs the girl in the head, the first guy that kind of kicks off the
Worm was gonna be Worm was gonna be my choice as well. And I gotta pick a new one.
That's an easy fuck that guy. Psychopathic, staring at him. That's the one I did her to. Your second to last song in your set. That's the one I did. High as hell on bad heroin. Yeah, that's I think that's a pretty safe F that. I mean, Patrick Stewart could come pretty close.
Yeah.
But at least he loved his boys, you know. He was nice to all of his soldiers, kind of. Yeah.
A little bit.
You know, other than having them stab each other in the parking lot to cover for the cops.
Well, you know, but they were dying. They got their red. No, they didn't get the red laces for that. But they still, you know, true believers. I don't know. I got nothing for you there. But okay, so and I think it's got to be the woman in Inside, right? There's no other. Yeah. There's no other choice.
Who else are we getting mad at? I don't know. Mom for coming back. Yeah. I don't know.
How dare you, Mom?
Mom's concerned about Christmas Eve.
No, Mom just loves her. She just loves her daughter, and she gets killed for it. It's just so sad.
I don't know.
Can we talk about also real quick? I know we're towards wrapping here, right? But can we talk about the horror of the boss when she comes in and he's like, how dare you barge in someone's home? And she's like, where's my daughter? And goes rushing off. And that moment of realization of just like, then who are you? Mm-hmm. Like that is so good, viscerally terrifying.
But this is the thing that's so, and we didn't really get into critiques of the movie, which I was going to save for when we gave it our Scully Awards. But one of the things that doesn't work about this movie is a lot of times some of the reactions don't seem very human to me. He does, instead of like really getting concerned about this, he's just kind of like curious. He's like, well then who are you? Let me traipse up the stairs. What? Oh, she got stabbed in the
really?
neck. What's good?
You see, I interpreted that differently. I interpreted that as like if that woman's the mom, I don't know who you are, and I have to be very careful in this moment, was basically how I interpreted that. Not like trepidation.
But he wasn't very careful at all, was he? There's a reason he wasn't looking when she stabbed him in the leg. He wasn't paying any attention to the crazy chick.
He didn't expect her to have a needle. Like he was just like, he tried to put distance. He was like, I'm going to stay between the things.
It's her point that like, this is what I'm saying is he turned his back on her. If he was really freaked out by her, he would have kept his eye on the crazy chick dressed in black with the cuckoo eyes and the possibility that she could be stabby. Stab him in the leg, stab him in the junk.
I think we're moving into this is why you died territory. So
I think you're right.
That's true.
I think you're right, Dan. That's a great segue. I think it is time to figure out why someone died in these movies. Dan, why don't you take us away then? It's your pick. Why don't you tell us why someone died in Green Room and Inside?
Oh man. All right. So let's go with I think. Oh no! Come back to me. I'm trying.
I'll jump in.
Go for it, Ryan.
All right. I'll start with Green Room. Darcy dies because he decides to walk away? Question mark. He's like, we're caught.
What you gonna do?
I'm gonna turn around and walk away. And then when they fire at him, he tries to pull this like spin move hip shot. And then I full on thought, because of the way that they'd cut the camera over and he like hits what I thought was part of the car. I thought that was like intentional, that he was going to like make a gas leak or something. And everything was going to start like, I thought like the purpose of that shot was like he intended to miss. Nah, he just misses. Like,
because he got shot in the head.
Yeah.
I know, but then like, why show where the bullet went? And the bullet is completely irrelevant.
To show that he missed. Just to like, okay.
If you just show it banging and no one's injured, we can infer that he missed. It's like showing where the bullet hits. It seems so intentional, and then he just dies, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Nice big spurt out of the forehead, and he's done.
Yep.
Yeah, he tried to make a break for it. He tried to make a break for it. Did the old man hustle back to the house?
No, yeah, he's like, I'm walking away. Very slowly. He walked very slowly.
He's like, screw this. I'm down. Yeah, he's no rush. He's just like, whatever. That's why he died. He just stopped giving a fuck. He was like,
because he moseyed when he should have ran.
They won't shoot me, I think.
All right.
What about for Inside?
Oh yeah, go with Inside before I get mine.
I'll say for Inside, I'll say the mom didn't announce herself early enough before she knocked on the door. She calls from downstairs and she says, like, where's my daughter? And then she runs upstairs, says nothing, sees the door closed, and doesn't go like, oh my God, Sarah, or anything. She goes and she like knocks on the blood-stained door. By the way, at this point, the door is blood-stained. There's holes in the door. Like, there's already gore on the door. She doesn't freak out at all. She knocks like a polite mom, only to get this straight from the descent. Like, I'm not going to announce myself at all. Oh, it's the same death.
I'm
again.
getting the pinhead needle in the neck. Only this one bleeds. So, Ryan, you're complaining about no blood in Hellraiser. You got
To
your
be
blood.
fair, that's what it would do. That's how blood works. This movie knows how blood works.
and
This movie knows how blood works.
And when we saw that scene in Green Room when the knife stuck in the chick's head and they're like, maybe she's not dead. There's no blood. And then he pulls it out and he goes, thunk, and the blood goes everywhere. He goes, there it is.
There it is.
I was thinking of you, Ryan. I was thinking of you.
Which, to be fair, it would bleed more when he pulled it out, but also the fact that there wasn't blood originally is also not right. That's not how blood works.
Are you
It
sure?
is.
I
What?
don't
It
know.
absolutely
1,000%.
stuck in your head.
You can't see. It's not going to fully seal the wound. It's still going to bleed around the freaking knife. If you pull it out, it's going to bleed more. But you're not going to get an airtight sealed wound from a knife wound.
You know, this is one of those moments on the show where it's kind of like that legendary story of Christopher Lee on the set of Return of the King, where he tells Peter Jackson what it would actually sound like to have someone get stabbed in the back. And Peter Jackson looks at him and goes, you were a spy in the British service, weren't you? I don't want to know how you know what it sounds like when someone gets stabbed in the back.
Wow.
This is like that with Ryan. I don't want to know why Ryan's over here going, you know, when you stab someone with a knife, there is some blood before you pull it out.
I can give you an explanation. I worked at a Boy Scout camp. Do you know how many kids are irresponsible with pocket knives? I know what pocket knives I can do to human flesh.
What did you
because
do to
kids
the
are
Boy
stupid.
Scouts, Ryan?
happened to
I
these
didn't do
poor
anything.
Boy
What did you
Scouts?
do
I
to the
didn't do
Boy
anything.
Scouts?
But what I know is that 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds do not listen to instructions, and when given pocket knives can do some very dumb things.
Why are they given pocket knives in the first place? Is my
Is
question.
this why
Because
you're not
that is
allowed
Boy
back in
Scouts.
Colorado?
I am very much allowed back in Colorado. I just came back. Thank you.
That's not what your parole officer said. All right, Dan.
Oh, sure.
Let's go to you
Let me
here.
take off my ankle bracelet real quick.
Okay. All right. Oh, so let's I think I'm going to say poor cousin Dan, I think, was blinded, that he knew that the love of his life was dead, that he did not, I don't think he was on his guard enough trying to get them out of that place. You think he was?
They never touch on what he's going for under the bar, do
The
they?
shotgun. The shotgun that they pulled out. He was going for the shotgun. That's why they had the shells and everything. And then they came in and were like, where's the shotgun? It's because they took it because Dan had gotten it. But to your point, Dan, it's not just that. They literally say it aloud in the film. Too slow.
Yep. Exactly.
Too slow, buddy.
Yeah, he's not moving fast enough. I
Nope.
think he's not expecting them to be ready as they are. Because I mean, even Patrick Stewart, right before that moment, he got it. He knew it, and he turns to him. He's like, "What did we forget?" Because he knew that they forgot to get the shotgun out, and he's smart enough for that. So I was like, cousin Dan, just not fast enough. Inside, I'll try and do something different. Let's just go with some of those cops. They're not prepared. Do they not have a flashlight?
The Keystone Cops.
They know
The
flashlights.
one guy is.
One guy.
The one guy's prepared.
Yeah.
It doesn't help him in the end,
No,
but he's the
but
only one that's prepared.
Those cops were kind of bubbling, just like, what's going on in this crazy bloody house? And then they just get murked by this woman in black.
Wait a minute, Pierre. Hold on a second. That woman we were just talking to, she wasn't pregnant, was she? Oh, crap. Maybe we should go back. Oh, no.
Yeah.
They were definitely bumbling.
Just a small detail.
There's one small detail. You ain't got a tummy, woman. Wait a cold.
Although I'm very glad they caught that, because when they walked away the first time, I'm like, are they really not going to pay attention to the fact that the report said it was in the report she was pregnant? And then they come back and I was like, okay, thank God.
I mean, the
Ian,
other.
What about you?
Oh, geez. Well, I'm going to have this. I mean, the easy one to say would be to say that Captain Picard should never have beamed down to Oregon. But that's what he gets. Beamed down to the wrong damn planet.
He was wearing red laces instead of red shirt.
That's what, right. Hey, man, red laces, same thing as wearing a red shirt. Although, I am, that's one of my Star Trek conspiracy theories, is that the red shirts had a revolution somewhere between the original series and Next Generation? Because notice how it switches, and then the officers have the red shirts in the new Next Generation. So there was a revolt, and all of the plebes on the Enterprise forced all the officers to wear the red shirts so that the officers would die every time they go down to a planet. And it didn't work. A plebe's a plebe in Star Trek. If there's 3 officers and a plebe's dead. Doesn't matter what color shirt he's wearing. And the same thing in Green Room. Doesn't matter what color shoelaces you're wearing. If you're a neo-Nazi, you deserve to die. As far as inside, man, you took mine with the cops. You took mine with the cops, man. Like that, they were just such dorks.
I thought you already had the boss. The boss was not looking around where you should have.
I mean, the boss is the easy one. Come on, man. You're an investigative journalistic editor, and you're like, oh well, crazy woman with the cuckoo eyes, who's apparently not the mom who I've just been hitting on aggressively on the couch. I'm sure she's fine to turn my back on the stairs. I'm sure she won't stab me in the dick. Wrong, buddy. She absolutely will. Never turn your back on a crazy chick.
And we also don't know how many drinks he had.
There is never an excuse. Yeah, I mean, sure, you could say that. Yeah, always be safe with your drinking, kids.
It was Christmas Eve. He just wanted to party.
They just wanted to party at Christmas Eve. Why was it Christmas Eve? What did that have to do with anything?
Because it's a beautiful Christmas movie. What are you talking about?
That's true. Honestly, I'm going to add this to my Christmas list. That's a great call.
I think more than anything, it was an excuse to have it so that people wouldn't come. Everyone was busy.
Everyone's busy
on Christmas Eve. Everyone has an excuse to not be there.
The only thing keeping this from being an all-time Christmas classic is the lack of jingle bells on the soundtrack. Like ching 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 ching.
That's what this movie
needs.
Stabby. Clearly, that was what was missing. We solved it.
I'm not gonna lie. The soundtrack definitely let me down in Inside. I thought it wasn't that great. I thought it was a big weakness, and the movie could have been more intense and more suspenseful if it had had a better soundtrack. But that brings us.
I disagree.
Oh, I
disagree.
Well, let's get into it in our Scully Awards. Go ahead.
Okay.
You give a Scully rating to Inside and Green Room, Mr. Ryan Ross Live, and tell me what you thought about the soundtrack while you're at it.
Well, let me go. I'll start with Green Room because the Green Room's the one I watched first. And admittedly, like I said, there's a lot of this movie that I spent just kind of trying to piece together most of what the hell the neo-Nazis were doing. But even beyond that, there were moments in this. I don't think the writing was as good in Green Room. The whole the deserted island band shtick felt so out of place, and the fact that it was the last line of the movie felt so corny to me. I will give it credit that there were times where they started to monologue and they cut it off in a way that seemed more realistic. Of like, he's like, "Here, let me give this pep talk," and they're like, "Are we really going to do this right now? We're in the middle of something," and they kind of just skirt around it. I will give it credit for that, but it was also like they literally made the movie green. The color correction is very green, which is very strange from the viewing perspective. I didn't really like that. And like they kind of just gloss over some stuff of like they've got this lead band that's like to your point earlier, like he likes his boys or whatever, except for the fact that he also murders his own band. Like they're like, oh, and they gave him some bad dope so that they overdose in their house, and they just kind of like do like a pan where they're like all, I guess, dead.
Wrap up the loose ends, man.
Yeah, but it just it felt very like shoehorned in. In general, I didn't take a lot from Green Room. I think Green Room's a 7 for me. It was good. It has horror elements. I do think the arm mangling was brutal. I liked the whole twist at the end where he and the girl team up and try and blend in by shaving their own head and pull a strategy of counting bullets and everything like that. Whole sequence is very well done. There were elements of it that I thought were good. I don't think it really delivered for me personally. And also fuck Nazis. So a 7. I'll say on Inside, fuck this movie. I'm never watching it again. I can never recommend it to anyone in good conscience ever. It is beyond all shadow of a doubt the most horrific, like monstrous movie I've ever watched. I think that the moments are exacerbated by the really aggressive soundtrack, which is I will give to your credit. I don't think that it fits in well. I don't think that I do think it stands out, but I think it adds to the discomfort and the tension and the grit and the ick of the movie when all those moments are happening, which I think is kind of what it's intending to do. And it just doesn't stop. And it's a 9 that I will never recommend to anyone ever. I hated this movie. I hated this movie. It's really good at what it's trying to do.
Wow.
I never again.
Wow.
It's a 9 that I will never watch again.
Oh my God.
That's awesome, Ryan. I
My
love that.
jaw is on the floor right now. Wait. Statman, what did you give of the Martyrs?
Let me go take a look here. I gave Martyrs an 8.
Shut up. You thought you gave Inside a 9 and Martyrs an 8?
This movie is more effective than Martyrs. This movie, Martyrs is cool. Martyrs has a cool meaning. Martyrs takes a lot of cool cerebral stuff. It does not hit as hard as Inside does. Inside packs a bigger punch, is more effective, and is more jarring, and it sets out to do more and does.
Wow.
I hated every moment of it, and I will never watch it again.
I'm shooketh. I am
so shocked too.
Right now. Oh my God.
I'm also very proud of Ryan. Like I feel like a proud parent who's like, you know, like you are able to understand what it's trying to do and what it does as a horror film, even though you can put aside that how much it bothered you, but how effective it is and why it deserves
I fucking hate this movie. I absolutely despise this movie. I was contemplating my life choices today of why did I agree to this? What have I done? And why am I sitting here experiencing this film? It's a 9.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. That's incredible.
That's great. I love that.
Well, they're your movies, Dan, so I'll let you go last here. I will take up the Scully mantle next and give my thoughts. And I will start in the order that I watched them, which was Inside, and then I used Green Room as a nice palate cleanser from that movie. Inside to me is obviously, like as I said, I love this particular movement in film. I love what it means socially. I love what it did for horror movies, how it pushed boundaries. But this of the entire movement is one of the movies that I just never want to watch again. And it's because there's not much in this movie that does anything for me. And there's a lot in this movie that rubs me the wrong way. The fact that the evil woman is just such a cartoonish supervillain in this movie. And we've talked about it. Her ninja powers, the fact that she's cartoonishly insane. She kills the cat for no apparent reason. You know, I don't know why losing this kid all of a sudden made her into an absolute sociopathic, psychopathic monster, but apparently it did. The weird way that they empower the Sarah, the pregnant woman, and make her into MacGyver at the end, where all of a sudden she's putting things together in the kitchen to make a spear and then it just completely doesn't work. There's so much of this that just is the timing, the pacing is terrible. The score doesn't work with the movie. I think the score really lets the movie down, except for the very, very end with that really nice string stuff. But the uncanny valley CGI baby. There's just a lot in this movie that stylistically I don't like, that just doesn't work for me cinematically or filmically, and it just doesn't live up to a lot of the technical expertise in some other of the movies in this particular movement. So for me, Inside is just a 7.5. It's not that great of a movie, but to Ryan's point, it is really good at what it does, which is shock and awe. And it does have some deeper meaning. It's just not as on the surface as Martyrs is, but it doesn't have enough of it to make it a higher value for me.
I'm surprised that you didn't just like the fact that her apartment was apartment 666.
Oh, I noticed that. I noticed that was on the door. In fact, that annoyed the shit out of me because that was just such that's so cute. Oh, nice. Oh, guess what? She's house 666. Get it? House of the devil. That's dumb. That's dumb. So that didn't work for me. And then, she's stuck inside with her scars and her bangs and her little tummy parasite. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It didn't work for me. And also I should probably point out that babies and pregnancy and birth freaks me out more than most things in some of the worst horror movies that I've seen. So the C-section and all the baby stuff, it just absolutely hideous to me. It's probably some of the worst stuff I've seen outside of the pig slop kill in Saw 3. But so 7.5 for Inside. Green Room, on the other hand, like I started off by saying, I relate to that movie way too much. That movie is way too effective for me with my lived experience of a lot of the stuff that's in this movie. Not obviously one for one, thank God. I've never been in that much of a neo-Nazi nest, thank God, because that was terrifying the second that they drove in. I got the cold sweats. But this movie, to me, is really effective at what it does in being a very realistic horror adjacent movie, but crime thriller. It's way more tense for me. It actually has suspense, whereas Inside to me just kind of plods on and drags on. I don't feel the same kind of intensity and suspense that I do in Green Room. So Green Room for me is an 8.5. Very, very solid movie. The thing that keeps it from being higher, is, funnily enough, is Patrick Stewart.
Oh,
I do not like his performance in this movie. Actually, it's not even his performance that's an issue. It's that he is completely miscast in this movie. I don't think he's got the gravitas. He has the presence. His American accent isn't good. He doesn't come across as a backwoods Oregon guy. I think that J.K. Simmons, or if he were still alive, J.T. Walsh would have been a way better casting choice for this. Someone with that same kind of silent menace.
I could agree with that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And it's funny for a movie like this where half of the cast is British. He has the worst accent. He's got a terrible American accent.
Well, and honestly, like I mentioned it before, he felt kind of like just like a Walter White imitation character to me.
Yeah.
Of like it felt like he was playing like a Walter White Gustavo Fring villain. And like I think Patrick Stewart's very good. I respect him a great deal as an actor, but I felt like this one didn't have the range that the character wasn't written with the range necessary for Patrick Stewart. And because it's so level throughout, it's level, it's controlled, it's intimidating in some ways, but I don't think he's really able to capitalize on the role a great deal.
There's not a lot of nuance to it, and I'm glad that they cast him, because obviously it did get people's eyes on it, because they went, ooh, Patrick Stewart in a horror movie, I'm going to watch that. So I get why they wanted to have him in it, but to me, he's just miscast, and that's why the movie doesn't get a higher score, even though I think it's a really nice, tight thriller. It doesn't quite get to that next echelon. Mr. Dan, Marcha Madness, these were your movies. Going in, I'm sure you had some thoughts. What are your thoughts going out? What do you rate Green Room and Inside?
I'll start with Inside. I think Inside is a solid 8 for me. I think, like, I agree a lot with Ryan. Like, it succeeds at what it's supposed to do, which is to shock you, and gross you out throughout. But like you said, Ian, there's just some of the storyline just doesn't really work, and it does feel convenient that these, that like in the storyline that these two pregnant women did, crash into each other. But I know that there's a bigger metaphor working. At least that's what I saw. So there's elements that it wasn't as suspenseful or as tense as I had remembered it. And so upon viewing it the second time, I did see the pacing issues and some of those moments. That's why I give it an 8. But I think for personally, like how I connected with it, I think that's why it's still high up there. Green Room is a 9 for me. I think that it still works. It's upon frequent, like I said, it's my third time watching it. It still felt intense the entire time. I really love the idea of this punk band, which is supposed to be, punk is supposed to be standing up against, this to counteract what's going on. And so I think that it's really brilliant. This tight thriller is set in this area of this punk band binding together, like they set the stage really well of showing like how devoted they are to each other and to the music, that they will live in like nothingness and still gasoline just to make it to the next show. And that just shows the spirit of punk rock and the spirit of what it means to be punk. And you can look at it at what's going on in today's political world of just standing up against what you think is wrong and banding together with the closest people that you have to try to survive. And so that's why I think it still speaks to today. I love the casting. Patrick Stewart works for me. And I love that it calls attention to, the writing did work, because I like that it brings up these stereotypical things that would happen in horror films and in suspense films, where the main character gives this like, we're gonna get out there, we're gonna go, and as he's giving the story, it's like, oh no, fuck it, like we got to do this, like screw your story. And I love there's two lines when they're first sneaking out right before the dogs attack for the first time, where they're like, we should split up. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's like, should we, like it, like they say two lines of dialogue that are so stereotypical in horror films, and they just like throw them away in a way that I think was intentional, of like, I'm gonna take what you think usually typically is said and what happens, and I'm just going to twist it around. And that's why I just, I love what that Green Room does. That I love the themes that it has, and we can't go without saying, like, I think this was one of Anton Yelchin's last roles before he tragically had his accident. So like,
R.I.P.
It was sad. He's such a talented dude. He was in the new Star Trek too. Like he was a talented actor.
I'm out of the loop here. What happened?
Right after he was filmed this movie, he tragically was moving his car out of the driveway, and the Jeep that he had, it was known for having brake issues, and the car was like locked out of the brakes, and it ran and crushed him against the wall and his gate at his house, and he died. So
oh my God.
Yeah, and so I think it was this movie, and then there was one other movie that was released after he did pass away, but it was like right around this time that the movie was coming out, he did pass away. So watching him again is very like bittersweet, because he was such a talented actor, and he just was taking us from too soon, and just a tragic accident. So, just seeing him in this role is just kind of like, you get to see him have like a little bit of a win at the end.
He's so good. He's so good. He's so good in this movie. And the fact that it's implied that he likes CCR, and that's his island band. I got to give him some props there. Band. You're right.
Yeah.
Real quick,
how's that implied? I missed that.
Because he's like, wait, you want to know? I figured out what my desert island band is, and she goes, I don't care, or whatever, whatever she says, and then it cuts to the credits and immediately starts playing CCR. I think the implication is
nice.
Okay, that's hilarious.
My favorite CCR song too, by the way, Sinister Purpose, which is awesome. And Dan, I really want to quickly say, dude, you hit it on the head. The punk rock aspect of this movie is next level. It's one of my favorite punk rock movies, down between the Clash reference on the poster for this movie, the music, the Dead Kennedys reference. I used to go to punk shows all the time when I was young. In fact, I was at one last night. I shit you not. I was at the 20th anniversary show for Pussy Cow.
I saw
here in Los Angeles. Check out Pussy Cow on Spotify. PU$Y-COW. They're an awesome local punk band. And you can actually go check out In Heaven There Is No Beer if you can find it. It's a great documentary that I shot about the punk scene here in LA back in 2004-ish. But I'm sorry, Dan. You mentioned the punk rockness of this movie, and I just wanted to shout that out, how good this gets the punk rock ethos and also the music as well.
Yeah, the music of the band is great.
But what did you think about Inside? So you gave Green Room a nice high score, but Inside?
Yeah, I said 8. I said
8 for Inside.
8 for Inside, for the reasons like it's so psychotic and so bloody, and it does what it's supposed to do as a French New Extremity film. But the other reasons of knocking it down, the pacing issues and just it not being as intense as I thought, and some of the character moments, like the choices that they make that aren't believable, the CGI baby, those are what knock it down a peg from making it like some perfect horror film. But they're still both high. So 8 for Inside and 9 for Green Room for me.
Wow.
All right, 2 things real quick. One, I have to ask, is it ever clarified how she gets in the house?
No.
Or is she just in the house?
She's just in it. The house. Magically in the house.
Cool.
The cops lock her in. I think it's implied that the cops lock her in there. Like she's in there somehow, and then the cops lock her in. But no, we don't know how she got in there. She's just
there
inside.
Cool, because that bothered me. But the other thing that I think that you guys will like,
you gave it a 9, man. So
I mean, yeah, I didn't say it was perfect. It's a 9. It's effective as shit, but there's still things that are wrong with it. But ironically, between all of our scores, we tied these movies.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Which is hilarious. We not only did we tie them like with the average score, like the raw average score, we managed to tie them.
Well, funnily enough, that actually brings us to another point, and that is that usually at this time of the show, Dan is out of a prompt, and it would be time for Dan to pick a brand new prompt and pick a brand new movie. But we're not going to do that on this show. And the reason is because we are in the last cycle of season 1 of This Is Why You Died. That's right. We've only got 2 more movies for this season, and then we'll be having a big blowout season finale episode. All 3 of us will pick our first movies for season 2, and we've got a ton of fun stuff planned as well. Lots of cool little games. We're all going to be able to re-rate one of our movies, and we're going to mock each other for our choices in Scully Awards for the entire season. Lots of other fun things, too, so stick around and make sure you check out the season finale when that comes around. So I'm sorry, Dan, you're going to stay promptless for at least a couple more weeks here.
All good.
But, however, right now, there are 2 of us who are not promptless. Ryan Ross Live, you're sitting over there on...
Ryan Ross Live.
Yeah.
You do love Scooby-Doo.
He does love Scooby-Doo. Oh, that works. Ryan Ross
It's true. I mean, who doesn't love Scooby-Doo?
That's a
He's
great.
okay.
That was a great gateway too.
We've got an issue now.
If anything was gateway for me, Scooby-Doo was definitely gateway horror.
Absolutely gateway horror.
Huge, yeah.
It's true.
Big time.
It is.
Big time. I loved the guest stars on Scooby-Doo. But Ryan Ross Rive, tell us what prompt you're sitting on over there.
So I am still sitting on the mist/fog, but I'm in 2 episodes.
That's right.
So I'm still sitting on that one.
So you're going to hold on to that for our next episode. Meanwhile, I am sitting on, literally, Behind. That is my prompt. And it has come to that time in the show where I have to announce what we're going to watch on the next episode based on the prompt Behind. And it really came down to if I was going to base it on the word behind or behind, if you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
I did think there was quite a few butt jokes I could have made with this. I could have gone Human Centipede. I could have gone Evil Toilet. There's a couple of movies that we could have gone with, but instead I decided
Evil Toilet.
There's some horrible movies out there, Ryan. It's just don't worry. Just be glad that be glad that instead of going for Behind, I went for Behind, and I went for It Follows. The next movie we will watch is the modern classic It Follows, because when it's following you, there's something behind you.
You got it.
It's
Great
not deep.
choice.
It's not that deep.
Choice.
But I'm very excited to talk about that.
That's how following works.
That is usually how following works, unless you're walking backwards. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in talking about Inside and Green Room. We got through it in one piece. Ryan, how are you feeling? You weren't feeling so good when you were watching Inside. How are you feeling now? Did you get it off your chest?
Yeah, next time I'm not going to eat Chipotle before I watch the movie.
Bad choice.
Here we are. You live and you learn.
Hey, it could be worse. You could be having chili
Oof.
during that ending scene.
Ugh.
Let's not.
I think Italian food would have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Let's not say we did, shall we?
Yeah. Lasagna, like a nice meaty lasagna at the end there would have been that'd have been a rough bite or two.
You guys are messed up.
But with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this episode of This Is Why You Died. For Ryan Ross Live, for Dan Marcha Madness, this is Sir Ian Dangerous saying thank you, and we will see you next time right here on
This is why you die.